So a few months ago, we checked out the $800 Bang and Olufsen H95's. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you run out and get those headphones because their price is just absurd. But the H95's are a whole experience by themselves because of their exquisite build quality and aluminum carrying case. But today, we are going to check out the new Bang and Olufsen HX's, which are way more sensible than the H95's. So first there's price. The HXs retail for $500, which I feel is a little pricey for a pair of ANC headphones. Obviously, the HXs blow past the Sony 1000XM4's $350 price tag, and it also blows past both the Bose NC700 and Sennheiser Momentum 3's $400 price tag. But the HXs are still a little shy of the AirPod Max's $550 price tag. Now overall, the HXs are a decent pair of ANC headphones that I really like a lot, but these aren't my new go-to daily drivers. Nonetheless, if you want to pick the HXs up, they'll be linked down below. Now first let's talk about the included carrying case. For a while, Bang & Olufsen has been trying to get away with included carrying pouches with their premium headphones, which unfortunately just isn't going to cut it these days. Just ask the AirPod Max. But thankfully, the HXs come included with a decent hardshell carrying case that is going to keep your headphones well protected, even if you cram them into a cramped backpack. And there's even a hidden compartment where you can store your cables. However, I do gotta point out that this case is a little large because it does have a large footprint and it is a little on the thicker side. Now the HX's case is still a little smaller than the Surface headphones case, which is good, but it is a little larger than your main staples like the Sony 1000XM4's or Bose NC700's. Now this is no aluminum carrying case that you would get with the H95's, but nonetheless, I am still very happy with this case, and I'd rather have this than some carrying pouch or whatever the AirPod Max has going on. But now let's talk about build quality. Just as you'd expect, the HXs are exquisitely built, and Bang & Olufsen has a pretty standard formula when it comes to their headphones. We've got very smooth swiveling ear cups. This aluminum headband glides in and out very smoothly as well, which pars great for the longevity of these headphones. Up top, we've got cowhide leather. Underneath, we've got a fabric padded headband. And once we make our way down to the ear pads, we've got lambskin leather. Now, out of the box, this lambskin can feel a little synthetic, but once you get your oils soaked into it, these lambskin ear pads do soften up. So, like I said, the HXs are exquisitely built. However, there are two key things that I want to point out about these headphones. First, the HXs can only be laid down flat. They aren't fully collapsible like most other headphones on the market or even the H95's. And personally, I do think that's a shame. I thought that since the H95's were fully collapsible, so would the HXs. But then there's also their removable ear pads. Now it's awesome that you can remove these ear pads, period, but you gotta screw these ear pads on and off. And I nitpick here because most new headphones whose ear pads are removable are now using magnetic ear pads. It's not a big deal, but I thought I'd point it out. But overall, the HXs are very well built and they're using very premium materials. But they still have room for improvement because I would like to see a collapsible design, which could open the door to a smaller carrying case, which would be very beneficial for constant commuters, and magnetically attached ear pads would be nice. But now let's talk about comfort. Overall, the HXs fit well, but my main complaint here is going to be their round ear pads. In general, I do not like round ear pads, period. The problem with these round ear pads is that since their diameter is so small, they pull down on your ear cartilage and rest on your earlobes. Whereas with oval ear pads, since they're taller, your ear cartilage and earlobes don't get pressed down on. I mean, round ear pads look great, but comfort-wise, oval is the way to go. And again, this is something that I would have liked to have seen make its way from the H95's to the HX's. Because the H95's are using oval ear pads, so it's not like Bang & Olufsen is completely opposed to the idea of oval ear pads. But if round ear pads aren't an issue for you, everything else about the HX's comfort-wise is actually pretty good. For starters, since these ear pads have very little surface area that come in contact with your skin, and since they do have minimal padding, these ear pads don't heat up all that much, similar to the Bose NC700s. And when it comes to clamping force, these headphones are big head approved because they have a natural fit to them, similar to the Sony 1000 XM4s or Bose NC700s. But the HXs don't fit as loose as, let's say, the Bose QC35s. And when it comes to their weight, the HXs weigh in at 285 grams, which is a little more than, let's say, the Bose NC700s, which weigh in at 264 grams, and the Sony 1000 XM4s, which weigh in at 254 grams. But nonetheless, with the HXs, these are a pair of headphones that you do forget that you're wearing after a while, and you're not going to notice them too much shifting around when you're walking around with them on. Unlike both the Momentum 3s and AirPod Max, which are both a little heftier. But now let's talk about tech specs. The HXs charge via a USB-C port, as they should. Now, when it comes to battery life, this has got to be one of my favorite things about the HXs. The HXs have an advertised battery life of 35 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on. And they have an advertised battery life of 40 hours with their active noise cancellation turned off. And since I've been using these headphones for the last 2 weeks and putting their battery life up to the test, they really are having no problem keeping up. For sure, I've had to charge these headphones much less than either the Bose NC700s, Momentum 3s, or AirPod Max, which all have an advertised battery life of 20 hours or less. Regarding connectivity, the HXs are using Bluetooth 5.1, but more importantly, they can be connected to 2 devices at the same time. So you can easily hot swap from one device to another, which is always great for power users. Now, when it comes to performance, these headphones have a 0 latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. And when it comes to audio codecs, the HX have support for SBC and AAC, which is pretty standard, but they also have support for aptX Adaptive. But if you want to, you can always just use a wired connection with these headphones. You can either use their USB-C port as a wired connection, which is still a little rare for ANC headphones these days, or if you want to, you can always just use their easy-to-reach 3.5mm audio jack, and would you look at that, they even come included with an audio cable. But now let's talk about listening to music with these headphones. Simply put, if you want to get the best sound out of these headphones, you gotta use them with their ANC turned off. Because with their ANC turned on, these headphones do get narrowed up quite a bit, and their bass won't resonate as deep or hit as hard. Now, this is in stark contrast to the H95's, because even though the H95's also get narrowed up a bit and their bass won't hit as hard with their ANC turned on, it's not as noticeable as on the HX's. The HX's do sound like 2 completely different pair of headphones if you have their ANC turned on or off. They still sound good, but they sound better with their ANC turned off. Now, with all that being said, from a performance standpoint, these headphones have a really good instrument separation, a decently wide soundstage, and the bass on these headphones doesn't bottom out. But these headphones are better suited for people who like a neutral or vocals-focused EQ. Even though the HXs do have a decent amount of bass, these headphones are not going to physically rattle your head, like let's say the Sony 1000 XM4s. The bass on the HXs is the resonating kind, similar to the Bose NC700s or Sennheiser Momentum 3s. However, the HX's bass does resonate more than the bass on the Bose NC700s, giving them a lot more physicality to them, making them more fun. But they don't have as much bass as the Momentum 3s. Now, these headphones do have an adjustable EQ, so you can tune them to your liking. But personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of EQ adjustment, because if you move this dial too deep into warm or high bass, they can end up sounding a little shallow because they do end up pushing the mids down, or if you want to bring the vocals out on these headphones, they can end up sounding nasally and flat because they end up lowering the bass and upping the treble. So personally, for me, I mostly just use these headphones while in their stock EQ because I like their balanced nature, or I might use them with their dial a little bit into the high bass and energetic area. But overall, these headphones are better suited for people who like a neutral EQ, and I did wish Bang & Olufsen would just give us full control over the EQ settings on these headphones. Regarding the media controls on the HXs, they're using a touchpad on the right ear cap. You can play or pause by simply tapping. You can also raise or lower the volume by doing a clockwise or counterclockwise circle on the touchpad, and you can skip through your music by swiping front or back. And overall, this touchpad is very accurate. The only thing I have to point out is that you do have to press a little harder than you normally would on other touchpads or on your phone. Personally, I am indifferent about it, but I think having to apply a little more than normal pressure on your touchpad might be good for avoiding false positives like on other touchpads. Because when I first started using these headphones, I thought their touchpad was very inaccurate because I was pressing too gently. But after realizing this touchpad requires a little more pressure, I'm actually starting to like it. But finally, the HXs do have wear sensors. So when you take these headphones off, they'll automatically pause your music, and then when you put them back on, they'll start playing your music again. Now, personally, I don't really care for wear sensors, so thankfully you can turn them off through their app. But at least it's nice to see that the HXs do have wear sensors, because right now for 2021, wear sensors are becoming a very standard feature that a lot of premium ANC headphones are starting to include. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. From a performance standpoint, the ANC on these headphones has very little cabin pressure, which is good for comfort. But like I mentioned earlier, this ANC does affect how your music sounds by a lot. And since the microphone array is fairly exposed, these headphones do like to pick up the occasional wind noise when walking outdoors. And when it comes to the amount of noise these headphones block out, it's not industry leading to say the least, but so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test.
Noise cancelling.
So, like you may have just seen, the HX does outperform the Sony H95's, which are a pair of entry-level 2020 ANC headphones. But the HX does straggle behind a little bit when compared to the Surface headphones 2, which are a pair of mid-tier ANC headphones. The HXs do okay when blocking out constant lower frequency sounds, which is to be expected, but they really struggle when it comes to random or even constant higher frequency sounds. And again, this is in stark contrast to the H95's, which not only block out way more noise than both the H95's and Surface headphones 2, but they also manage to block out a hair more noise than the Bose NC700s and Sony 1000 XM4s when subjected to this same ANC test. So overall, the ANC on the HX is usable, but if ANC is a top priority for you, then I would recommend that you look at something else like either the Bose or Sony. Now, even though the ANC on the HXs isn't super impressive, what is though is their ambient mode. The ambient mode on these headphones sounds very natural for the most part, but can sound a little over amplified if you were to set them to max. But other than that, there's zero hissing in the background, which is important for when you're watching movies with these headphones. And for the most part, this microphone array does a decent job of blocking out wind noise when walking outdoors. But again, since this microphone array is so exposed, sometimes they will pick up some wind noise, but it's not problematic. However, I do gotta point out that this ambient mode lets in everything. It's not the active kind that will actively block out sudden spikes and loud noises like the ambient modes on the Sony 1000 XM4s, Surface Headphones 2, or AirPod Max. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, overall, the microphone on the HXs is decent for like a quick phone call, but personally, I do wish that this microphone did put a little bit more of an emphasis on my voice because my voice can sound a little shallow. However, if you do plan on taking phone calls with this microphone, I do recommend that you do so in a quieter room because this microphone really doesn't do all that great of a job blocking out ambient noise. And if you're in an area with a lot of ambient noise, then your voice can get really jumbled up. So with all that being said, I like the Bang and Olufsen HXs, and they're a decent pair of ANC headphones. If you're someone that's looking for something with premium build quality, then the HX has you covered with their cowhide wrapped aluminum headband and lambskin earpads. The HXs also have a great neutral sound to them with a very wide soundstage, great instrument separation, and deep resonating bass. The ambient mode on these headphones is really good as well. They have an awesome long battery life, and not to mention, they're fairly comfortable. However, I feel that if these headphones used oval ear pads instead of the round ones that they have now, their fit would be perfect. But then there's their ANC. Even though their ANC is usable, if ANC is a very big deal to you, then I would look at something else. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.